The Dodgers trashed every big opportunity they had on Friday, but Dalton Rushing said, "Not tonight." Down to their last strike, he walked it off against the Orioles.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Harry Ruiz, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers. On today's show, the Dodgers get encouraging updates on Edwin Diaz and Edwin Phillips as help inches closer for the bullpen. Shohei Ohtani steps away from the team for a special family moment. But first, Dalton Rushing delivers his first career walk-off in an epic comeback that shouldn't have been as dramatic as it was. We're diving into it on today's pod, which is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Dalton Rushing's night changed with one swing. For most of Friday night, Dalton Rushing looked like a rookie having one of those terrible nights that he would love to forget. Strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. And every trip back to the dugout seemed to carry a little more frustration than the one before. And he's a guy that expresses frustration without mattering what's going on around him. But baseball has a way of giving players one more chance, and sometimes that's all it takes. The Dodgers beat the Orioles 6-5 in dramatic fashion Friday night, and the lasting image isn't going to be the strikeouts. It won't be Rushing snapping his bat in half over his knee inside the dugout. It's going to be when he lined a 2-out, 2-strike pitch into right field with the Dodgers down to their final out. That hit tied the game. A throwing error on the play brought home the winning run. The Dodgers won. Game over. Party at Dodgers Stadium. Party at Chavez Ravine. And what's fascinating here is how close this game felt to slipping away way earlier. The Dodgers, they jumped on Baltimore early, quick. Max Muncy delivered a 2-run single in the first. Andy Pages added an RBI double in the second. And man, Alex Freeland, he went from first to home, and the way that he evaded that tag at home plate was masterful. It was reviewed, and it was barely safe for the Dodgers. That was great. 3-0, 2 innings in. I'll take it. And then Roki Sasaki, he looked sharp. Everything seemed to be unfolding exactly the way the Dodgers wanted after facing 3 teams in a row. On the road, they had the Pirates, the White Sox, then they hosted the Rays. 3 teams in a row with the winning record. Now they get to host an Orioles team that is closer to the bottom of their division than to the top of it. And then they had a huge opportunity in the 3rd inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, a chance to completely bury Baltimore early. Just put your foot on their throat and don't let it go. Finish them quick. Instead, Ryan Ward struck out. Dalton Rushing struck out. Alex Freeland, guess what? Struck out as well. 3 straight punch-outs, no runs, and that's where this game changed. When you have a missed opportunity like that you don't take advantage of, you know that there's a high possibility that it's going to come and bite you in the you-know-what later in the game. And that's exactly what happened, because instead of creating separation, the Dodgers, they left the door wide open. Eventually, Baltimore walked through it. Back-to-back homers against Sasaki erased the lead. The Orioles grabbed control an inning later in the 6th, and suddenly the Dodgers found themselves heading into the 9th inning trailing. That's why Mookie Betts hitting a home run with 1 out was so important. Without it, we're talking about a frustrating loss. Without it, it would have been a 2-run deficit going into the bottom of the order. So Mookie, huge clutch solo home run for him right there. And then he kept the inning alive. Muncy, he worked the walk. Ryan Ward worked the walk. Rushing stepped up to the plate. By the way, didn't even mention Tommy Edman there. He had a fly out that hurt the possibilities for the Raiders. If you follow the probabilities charts on if the team's going to win after that pop out, boom, dipped big time. But he had a 3-hit game, so big for him on his second game back from his ankle injury. But you could feel the pressure, especially on Rushing, not only because the game was on the line, but because he had been searching for something positive all night long. The impressive part wasn't the hit itself, it was the reset, because after falling behind in the count, Rushing slowed everything down. Instead of letting 4 frustrating plate appearances carry into a 5th, he treated that moment as a brand new game. That's a lesson that every young player has to learn at the major league level. The previous at-bat doesn't matter. The previous inning doesn't matter. The game only cares about what's happening right now, and Rushing embraced that moment. And look, the Dodgers, they've needed him to grow quickly because Will Smith remains out longer than expected. He could have been activated this weekend, and Dave Roberts says that it's not going to be the case, that they're going to play it a little bit slow, that they had some scans done, that it didn't let him come back. And man, that means that more responsibility is coming for a guy like Dalton Rushing, both behind the plate and with the bats. And with that comes more pressure and more opportunities to learn for a young buck like him. And the numbers may not always be pretty, but moments like this are exactly why the Dodgers continue to believe in him. Early in the year, he was hitting bombs left and right, limited playing opportunities, and he was just getting it out of the yard every single time. But right here, development isn't always measured by batting average. Sometimes it's measured by how a player responds when things are going badly. And right now, he's not at his best moment, and he was able to give this team a clutch hit when they needed it the most. Instead of remembering what happened earlier in the game when they had the bases loaded with no outs, and he was one of the 3 Dodgers that had strikeouts that didn't get any productive outs, he's going to remember it, and the fan base is mostly going to remember this walk-off hit instead of those strikeouts throughout the game and seeing him frustrated again in the dugout. I mean, he tried to Bo Jackson that bat. First try, no good. Second try is when it cracked. And fortunately, at the end of Friday night, we were able to see him with a big smile on his face. I mean, that's now 4 consecutive wins by the Dodgers by 1 run. Usually, when they win games, they're run-line Dodgers. They're able to win them by 2+ runs. Close games, that's when it gets a little bit more difficult. And the Dodgers, that's now 4 wins in a row that they win by the minimum. So let me close this segment out asking you, how worried are you that the Dodgers just can't find consistency at the plate with the bases loaded? Drop your take in the comments or let us know on any of our social networks or hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line, 2793-LOCKED. I want to hear where you stand. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani missed Friday's game, but this had absolutely nothing to do with baseball. I'll talk about the incredible family news and what and when he could be back in the lineup. Baseball players are known for their routines. Lucky jerseys, pregame rituals, sticking to the same preparation every day. Consistency matters, and when it comes to hair thinning, there are tons of products making promises, but not always a lot of confidence behind them. That's why more people are turning to solutions backed by real science. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement and the official hair growth partner of Major League Baseball. What makes Nutrafol stand out is that it's not one size fits all. It's designed to fit your daily routine while addressing the root causes of thinning with personalized solutions. I really like that it recognizes everyone's situation is different. Formulas made for different stages and needs just make way more sense. So, if you're dealing with hair thinning, find out why Nutrafol is trusted by MLB. Right now, listeners of our show get $10 off your first month plus free shipping at Nutrafol.com with the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Nothing beats being at a Dodgers game. Just ask anybody that was at the stadium on Friday night. The energy in the stands, the crowd roaring, that electric vibe you just can't get anywhere else. The only downside is that scoring tickets can be a total pain. Endless lines, random fees, and prices that jump right before you hit checkout. That's why I've been using Game Time. The app makes it so easy. Real tickets, delivered fast, at the best prices, and the fees are already baked in, so what you see is exactly what you pay. No surprises. You can follow the Dodgers on the app, get alerts when fresh deals pop up, and literally grab great seats in just 2 taps, making it super easy to decide hitting up a game last minute. If you're thinking about heading out to the stadium, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. You can get every episode of Locked On Dodgers ad-free through the Everydayer Club. There's a 7-day free trial waiting for you at LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com or through the link in the show notes. Shohei Ohtani had a much bigger priority on Friday. The Dodgers played their first game of their 3-game series against the Orioles without Shohei Ohtani. Normally, that sentence would trigger concern. Was it the knee? Was it the blister? Did something happen physically? Instead, the reason was far better. Shohei Ohtani and his wife Mamiko welcomed their second child into the world. Congratulations to the growing Ohtani family, to their daughter, to Decoy, to Mamiko, and of course to Shohei. Baseball can dominate headlines every day, especially for a guy like Shohei who's a worldwide superstar in this sport. But moments like this put everything into perspective. For one night, Shohei Ohtani wasn't focused on pitching schedules, on home runs, on OPS, on MVP conversations, or anything happening at Dodger Stadium. He was simply being a husband and a father, and understandably so. The timing created some speculation because the Dodgers lineup was released later than usual. Fans immediately started wondering if something was wrong. After all, you remember Ohtani, he recently has been dealing with knee inflammation. He's recently been dealing now with blister issue. But Dave Roberts quickly shut down those concerns and said that this wasn't an injury. This was about family, and the Dodgers elected not to place Ohtani on the paternity list. And as a result of it, they played one player short on the bench on Friday night. And that alone tells you they expect this absence to be brief. Actually, in the press conference post-game, one of the reporters brought up that Ohtani had been seen at the stadium earlier. And Dave Roberts said, "Not to my knowledge, I didn't see him." And then you had to hear someone from PR, from the communications department with the franchise, said, well, he was actually here at the stadium. Oh, he was? That's news to me. So obviously, Ohtani, he was at Dodger Stadium, but then he had to dip out, and he had his baby. His wife had their baby, and that was good for them. And Ohtani, when will he return? That's a big question mark, but when Dave Roberts was asked about it, he indicated that Show could return as soon as Saturday. That's could. It's not will. There's a good opportunity. There's a possibility that if it happens. And if it does, the Dodgers will get back one of the most productive players in baseball. And he's been on a tear since May 12th. June seems to be his favorite month of the year for one reason or another. Maybe because it's like right in the middle of things of the year. The Dodgers are 1 week away from finishing the first half when it comes to numbers, when reaching 81 games next week. And they have the best record in all of baseball, having 49 wins. They're more than likely going to become the first team to get to 50. And you look at what's going on. He's been dominating as a hitter. He's been dominating as a pitcher. He's doing both simultaneously. That right there, it's something that's not usual. It's become so routine that people almost forget how absurd it really is. But for a day, baseball was able to take a back seat for Shohei, and that's exactly how it should be. I mean, I'll share the story. I became a father on January 15th to our beautiful baby daughter. Shout out to her. She just turned 5 months and she's doing spectacular. Right after she was born, I was taken to the room with her. My parents come in, my mother-in-law comes in. We're all very happy. An hour after my daughter's born, Kyle Tucker gets signed to the Dodgers. Jeff Passan announces that he's going to sign with the Dodgers. I had to take like a minute. And after I posted it on the Lockdown Dodgers socials, I'm like, man, what am I doing? Focus on the important part of life. Focus on that little baby girl that's right there, because work dominates your life. I'm a sports broadcaster. I do play-by-play for the Raiders in Spanish. I do play-by-play for the USC football Trojans in Spanish. Fight on. Shout out to the Trojans as well. And I've been in the sports industry now for 2 decades. This is my 20th year in sports broadcasting. I started when I was 17 years old in my parents' hometown of Torreon, Coahuila, Mexico. First on the radio, then on TV. Moved back to the States where I was born in Los Angeles. Started on a TV station in El Paso, Texas. Play-by-play broadcaster for college football and basketball TV stations. My life has always been about sports. Fortunately, 3 years ago, my wife comes into my life, and since then, it's like, okay, you put everything into perspective. And I wouldn't understand what Shohei's going through completely if I hadn't gone through these same steps. If you're a father, which, by the way, tomorrow is Father's Day, congratulations to all the dads out there, you know how important it is to be there present for that moment. And I feel bad for some fathers that travel for work, and then they find out, hey, your wife is going into labor or your wife is in the hospital. And then you got to figure out flights and getting there or driving. And that's hard. Fortunately for Shohei, this was a home series for the Dodgers. Fortunately for Shohei, the Dodgers had come back home on Sunday after they lost the series in Chicago against the White Sox. It wasn't a situation. And look, he's a very rich guy. The richest player in baseball history. He could catch a private jet like that, and be back in LA. If the Dodgers were in Chicago, 3.5 hours? Fortunately, he was in LA. They were able to plan things relatively easy when it comes to, okay, you're not available today. Let's have Ryan Ward as a DH. Let's have Kyle Tucker play leadoff. And it's something that they were able to figure out, and it's something that he was able to celebrate with his family, with his wife, with their daughter, and now having a new baby at home, that's going to be cool for the family as well. I mean, Shohei loves sleeping. Hopefully their baby is somebody that loves sleeping as well. And it's also worth remembering that this is still a relatively new chapter of Ohtani's life, because not long ago, fans barely knew anything about his personal life. Now he's a husband. He's a father of 2, and somehow he's still performing like one of the most dominant players on the planet. Or I'll say it, the most dominant player on the planet. By the way, Dave Roberts said that he found out that Mamiko was pregnant very recently and that they were going to have a kid, and now it's here. So it's something where Shohei Ohtani, he keeps his life very private. He's not somebody that's posting about stuff or talking about stuff even in his inner circle or with the people that he works with. And the Dodgers, they survived Friday night without him thanks to a dramatic comeback, but they'll obviously be thrilled to welcome back whenever he rejoins the club. If it's Saturday, if it's today, great. If it's Sunday, fantastic. If it's once the new week starts against Minnesota, we'll take it. But Shohei, his wife, they should be able to celebrate their kid, to enjoy the moment. And judging by everything we've heard, that could happen very soon, his return. Go check out his social media posts on Instagram. Very, very cute. So let me ask you, what has impressed you most about Shohei Ohtani this season? His hitting, his pitching, or his ability to balance everything happening in his life? Drop your answer in the comments or hit me on social at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, or on TikTok at Harry Ruiz_. Next on Locked On Dodgers, the Dodgers may finally be getting some much-needed bullpen reinforcements. Edwin Diaz took another big step forward, and Evan Phillips is getting closer and closer to returning. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're juggling a bunch of separate systems that don't talk to each other. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings everything together. Sales, accounting, inventory, marketing, all in one platform. So your team can move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know success isn't just about talent. It's about everyone working towards the same goal. Just like in sports, when the front office, coaches, and players are all aligned, great things happen. Great organizations win because operations matter. So try Odoo for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon.
Baseball season is here, and right now you can trade every game on KALSHI. Yep, on KALSHI, you can trade every single game because on KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. And for a limited time, when you download the KALSHI app and use the code LOCKEDON, you get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, KALSHI. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risks and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Are you new here? Welcome. Everydayers, you already know you're the heartbeat of our show. It's easy and free to help us out. Subscribe and like our content on YouTube. Drop a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify and hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line. 2793-LOCKED. That's 279-356-2533. Bullpen help is finally inching closer to return. For weeks, Dodgers fans have been looking at the injured list and asking one simple question. When are the reinforcements coming? Friday brought some encouraging news. Let's start with star closer Edwin Diaz. Sugar threw a 15-pitch bullpen session and reportedly sat between 91 and 93 miles per hour with his fastball. On the surface, that might not sound like a huge development, but for a reliever working back from an elbow issue, it's an important checkpoint. The arm responded well, and perhaps most importantly, the Dodgers liked what they saw. Now comes the next phase. More bullpen sessions, live hitters, then a short rehab assignment because relievers don't need that lengthy buildup that starting pitchers require. The timeline can move relatively quickly once these boxes start getting checked. That doesn't mean that he's returning tomorrow though, but it does mean the conversation is shifting from recovery to return. And that's a meaningful distinction. And look, the Dodgers compared to last year, fewer blown saves. The Dodgers compared to last year have Tanner Scott playing in a way better level. He has been way more consistent in a good way compared to last year where it seemed that every time he was out there for the ninth inning, he was blowing a save. The Dodgers now have players that have stepped up to the plate at the moment when you are missing a guy like Edwin Diaz. Edgardo Henriquez, Will Klein, before the season started, before they broke camp over at Camelback Ranch, it was like, are these guys even going to make the team? Now they're an important part of the bullpen. You got Alex Vesia and his intensity going out there at times. There's stumbles, but more often than not, he's being a dominant pitcher out of that pen. Blake Trinan has been solid. Jack Dreyer might be the only wild card that you can pretty much have it as a toss-up if he's going to be able to deliver for this team or not coming out of the pen as a reliever. But when you look at those guys coming out with the Dodgers starting pitchers pretty much every day going 6-7 innings, it just crunches the game and makes those opportunities with even better chances for the guys to be able to get the Dodgers to a win. And they've been doing a good job, but you'll never say no or be like, nah, we're good without him when it comes to a closer of the caliber of Edwin Diaz, a guy that the Dodgers went and spent big money to go get him out of New York and just being at a miserable franchise, a team that despite spending millions and millions and millions of dollars left and right in players, they just don't seem to figure it out. Edwin Diaz, who is a multiple-time reliever of the year award winner, he comes to the Dodgers, and his responsibility is clear. You're not going to come and pitch in the 6th and the 7th and the 8th. No. You're going to come and have those Timmy trumpets ready. Play that song, 9th inning, bring the energy to Dodger Stadium, 1, 2, 3 inning, close the door, get us home. That's Edwin Diaz's responsibility, and unfortunately, the loose bodies in his elbow, that was a situation that early in his tenure with the Boys in Blue got him on the IL. Well, it's June 19th when they were able to have him for a first bullpen, and now June 20th, one day, get him closer. And look, it's not like he's going to play next week or the week after that, but just him having a bullpen session is encouraging. And since it happened, since he had surgery, it was always post All-Star game break. So we're not there yet. I'm going to bring out my calendar right here. The All-Star game is on July 14th. So let's bookmark hopefully July 16th when the Dodgers, or 17th, when the Dodgers go and play New York, the Yankees, we can get Edwin Diaz back on the mound or close to that date. Hopefully not much further than that, because when you invest on a guy like that, yeah, you want to have him there, of course, for October, for the playoffs, for the divisional round, the championship series, the World Series. That's when you need a shutdown closer. But you just don't want him showing up finally in that round. You want to be able to have him at his best level when that comes up. So Edwin Diaz, part 1. Part 2, second encouraging update, involves Evan Phillips. Phillips tossed another scoreless inning for AAA OKC, and his rehab assignment now continues to trend in the right direction. This was already his 6th rehab appearance, and the results have largely been very good. And if everything continues progressing smoothly, July is becoming a realistic target. It's easy at times to forget how important Phillips has been to this organization. Yes, injuries have made it a struggle for him, but since arriving in LA, he has consistently handled some of the biggest outs that the Dodgers have needed, whether it was the 8th inning, the 9th inning, or simply putting out fires with runners on base. Phillips has become one of those guys in the Dave Roberts trust tree that he trusts the most, and that's not easy to replace. The Dodgers, they've survived stretches this season without Diaz, without Phillips, with different arms stepping forward that I already brought up. But adding Diaz and Phillips back into the mix would dramatically improve the bullpen's depth and its flexibility as well. So suddenly, roles become clearer, workloads become easier to manage, and the margin for error gets a little larger. But the thing is, we're not there yet. But for the first time in a while, you can start to see help on the horizon. And for a bullpen that's had to absorb plenty of injuries, that's welcome news. And Brock Stewart, he'll be coming back soon as well for the Dodgers. So that gives this team options. So, for example, on Friday's episode, Travis and I were talking about Jeff Passan's top 100 trade deadline candidates list and how he listed Aroldis Chapman having one of his best fits being the Dodgers for a potential trade. And I mean, it would be cool, but at the same time, the Dodgers are having reinforcements coming from within, guys that they already have on payroll, guys that they don't have to give anything up for them without caring or mattering if it's a guy that's a top prospect or a lower level prospect. You don't have to give anything up for Edwin Diaz. You just have to make a corresponding move. And with the way that the bullpen has pitched mostly, yes, they had that little stretch of 10 games where it was rough, but they had that 40-inning stretch where they were able to go scoreless, or they've been able to get this team out of jams at times. That's the type of pitching that you want, and those guys, there's going to have to be some hard decisions. I mean, right off the bat, you might think Jack Dreyer, right? With the way that he has been playing recently. But after him, who would be on the chopping block for the Dodgers going back to AAA when Edwin Diaz comes back? When you get a guy like Evan Phillips back, or when you have Brock Stewart back. So let me ask you, which returning reliever do you think could have the bigger impact on the Dodgers during the second half of the season? Edwin Diaz or Evan Phillips. Let us know in the YouTube comments or reach out on social media. All right, that's going to do it for today's special edition on a Saturday of Locked On Dodgers. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. So we'll be back on Monday. Yes, tomorrow it's Father's Day. I won't have a show no matter what. It could be a perfect game tonight by Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I'll be able to talk about whatever happens, even if it's a perfect game on Monday, and as well the series finale against the Orioles on Sunday. We'll be talking about on Monday or maybe a Sunday night premiere. I'll leave it at that. If you're with us every day, check out the Everydayer Club. You'll get Locked On Dodgers completely ad-free, access to our members-only Discord, and more perks along the way. Join the party at lockedondodgers.supercast.com. If you're watching on YouTube, stick around and check out the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And if you're listening on audio, make Locked On MLB your second listen of the day. I appreciate you riding with me. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.